Hello children, hope you are all well at your homes. Today we are going to start with the 10th chapter of biology, class 8th, named food production. Actually, the food is not only obtained from the plants, but even the other microorganisms can be used for the production of it. It might be very surprising to understand and even hear that bacteria can be useful also. So far, we have only understood that bacteria are harmful. The fungi is harmful. They cause only diseases. But I am sure that many of you are very fond of eating the curd also. And how is this curd and cheese made? This is made with the help of bacteria. And therefore, we can say that yes, bacteria and fungi, they help a lot in the food industry. Food industry, like in the formation of the curd and even the cheese. Every one of you must be enjoying eating pizzas also. So how come is this pizza base made? That is again the work of the fungi, which helps in the fermentation, making the dough to increase, and therefore you can have your delicious pizzas enjoyed. At your homes, your mothers must be putting some pickles also. And in that pickle, when she is making, she adds also some vinegar or maybe the preservative, which is chemically available in the medical stores. But vinegar itself, which is very much good for digestion and even to be used as a preservative, this also is being made by a bacteria. And therefore, now we should change our minds like that bacteria and fungi are not only harmful, but they are useful as well. Now, with this, let us start with the process of agriculture. In this topic, we have already made our concepts clear by that yes, bacteria and fungi are used in the food industries. Now, what actually is agriculture? Agriculture means the art, the science of growing various type of crops and fruits. These crops and fruits are important because they help us in getting the food for us. We are, if we are vegetarian or a non-vegetarian, so directly or indirectly, we all are depending upon the plants, right? So let us study about the characteristics and the various preparations for agriculture. In agriculture, as a different crops and plants are produced, it requires a little scientific way to understand. The very first essential factor for agriculture is the soil. The very first thing is the soil. We know all plants are growing in the soil, and therefore the soil must be a rich source of minerals. If these minerals are present there, then surely the plants grown there will be more prosperous and even healthy. And therefore, for preparation of soil, we need to select out the best quality of the soil which is required for a particular kind of a plant. Secondly, the factor which is required for agriculture is irrigation. India is a rain-fed country. And therefore, for maximum times for growing of the crops, we are depending upon rainfall. But this rainfall also does not occur throughout the year. Only just for a period of a few months, that is from July to September, the rainfall occurs. But what about the plants which are grown after the rainy season? For them, obviously, artificially the water should be provided, and that process of artificially providing the water to the plants in the agricultural fields, that is called as irrigation. The third factor to start with is the manuring. Manuring is somewhat related with the soil because manuring means to increase the number of minerals present in the soil. and this we can increase only when we are putting something healthy. We have also an option for using chemical fertilizers, but as the word chemical comes in it, means it is having a lot of a very hazardous kind of a composition. And if you continue to use the fertilizers for a long period of time and even in excess, the soil will be totally polluted, and all these pollutants will come into the plant, and from plant we also will be taking it inside when we are consuming those fruits and vegetables. And therefore, instead of fertilizers, we should try to use manures. Manures means the cow dung can be there, the green manure can be there, okay, and many other ways are also there, or even we can make the mechanism of crop rotation to be done, which will again help in increasing the minerals in the soil. Now let us start with the classification of crops. Depending upon the uses, the plants or the crops can be divided into few categories. The very first one is called as a food crop, and the another one is called as a cash crop. Food crop means the plants, the crops which the farmer is growing for using directly by themselves, or maybe if it is grown in excess, then he can sell them out in the market. That is called as a food crop. Food crop includes the vegetables, it can include the wheat, rice, bajra, jawar and many other things. Whereas cash crops, cash word means money, and therefore these crops which the farmer is growing but is not directly for his own use, but he will be selling them out to the industries, and these industries will be changing them into something useful. That is called as a cash crop. For example, sugarcane. We all know that a sugar is made from sugarcane juice, but are we directly plucking up the sugarcane from the field and squeezing it out into the tea and coffee and then drinking it? No. This sugarcane is all harvested by the farmer, is all collected and then sent to the sugar mills where the sugar is made. This sugar is packed up from there and comes into the market, and we purchase that sugar from the shops and we use them. This is the way, and therefore such crops which cannot be directly utilized by the farmer, those are all considered as cash crop. Cotton is also a cash crop, and even the sugarcane plus many others are also there. Now the next thing comes up as a horticulture. Horticulture is also a branch of agriculture in which we are only dealing with the production of the fruits, vegetables and flowers. Any kind of crops, any kind of flowers, any kind of vegetables which are grown, they all come under horticulture. And in this horticulture, if we are specifically dealing with only the growth of fruit trees, only the fruit trees, we call those places as the orchards. You must have heard about, or maybe if you would have gone to a village, you must have seen that the big orchards, big gardens are there in which only the mango trees are there. And what do we call? We actually don't use a term garden for it, but we call them as orchards. Mango orchards, orange orchards are there and all. Even in Maharashtra, the fruit, in Maharashtra also the largest area is considered to be under the fruit orchards. Okay. Then we now should come under a term, come for studying a term which is called as the organic farming. So far we have learned that whenever the farming is done, the farmer should use some chemicals for using used in the field so that the minerals in the soil could be increased or what. Even the pest attack could be prevented and so. But nowadays a new concept of farming has come up which is called as organic farming. Organic means no chemicals, no fertilizers, no pesticides, no insecticides and all. That means the harm done to us by these organic products is very less as compared to the chemical ones. In this organic farming, no such chemicals are used. I told already that instead of fertilizers, the manures are used. Instead of chemical pesticides and insecticides, the biopesticides and bio-weedicides and bioinsecticides are used, which are not causing much harm to the soil. And also, they do not pollute the soil. When the soil is not polluted, the composition is not changed. When composition does not change, the useful bacteria and the earthworms and other organisms which are very useful during agriculture, they also will not be getting any harm, and therefore they can be protected as such. Okay, and therefore organic farming is a very new trend to go on in the world around, and many people are preferring to go for organic products rather than the normally grown products from the agricultural fields. Now let us read about the Green Revolution. Green Revolution, actually Dr. Swaminathan is considered as the father of Green Revolution in India. Years back, India was not a very self-sufficient producer of food crops, especially the wheat. But after much of the research was done upon the plants, and varieties and hybrid varieties of wheat was produced, and these hybrid, that is the high yielding varieties of wheat was produced, and when it was given to the farmers grew, and with this the production of wheat and the food crops increased so much in our country that instead of being the ones who used to starve, we became the suppliers of wheat to the world. And this revolution which has come up with respect to the food crops grown, this is called as a Green Revolution. Green is the color for plants, okay, and therefore this Green Revolution is actually making up for the increased production of food crops. Then with this we have finished off a lot of the plant products and plant category things. Now we are going to start with the animals. The animals also are very good sources of food and many of the other uses. With this, let us start with the domestic animals. The animals which we are keeping for our own use, those are called as domestic animals. The animals which can be not only kept with us for getting the food from them, or maybe for doing a lot of work, that is also considered as a livestock. Taking care of all these animals, like how the food should be given, how the care should be taken, how can we protect them from diseases, and even to give them a proper shelter. This all is included in animal husbandry. This animal husbandry is a very vast thing to be studied about, and it includes the factors. The four of the factors are controlled breeding, that means the animals are not allowed to uncontrollably produce more of the new organisms. Feeding, that means taking care of the proper and balanced diet to these animals. Weeding means that if in any animal the undesired characteristics have come up and is going to harm the other organisms, then it should be removed from the group. Heeding means taking proper care and management of all these animals. This is called as heeding. So controlled breeding, feeding, weeding and heeding are the important points to be considered for animal husbandry. Now, these animals can even be categorized into the milch animals and the drought animals. Okay, so these animals are also providing us with the food. These animals can be categorized as the milch animals. Milch means the milk producing animals. It can be the drought animals. Drought animals means the ones who are used for carrying heavy loads on their back. You must have seen the horses and the donkeys on the roads who are lifting up a lot of load on their back. And the third thing is for obtaining meat and eggs. That means to be used as a food resource. Milch animals are giving us milk. like buffaloes are there, cows are there, even goats are also there. The other animals, mammals also produces the milk, but they do not produce the milk in such quantities that it can be supplied or sold to the outside. But cows, buffaloes, they are providing sufficient amount of milk. And there are even different varieties. The different breeds of cows and buffaloes are there, which depending upon their abilities and the genes, they are producing different quantities of milk also, okay. And these breeds of cows and buffaloes could be easily divided into the indigenous or the desi breeds. Indigenous means which originally belonged to India, okay, and these could include the Sahiwal and even the Gir and the red Sindhi cows. Okay, whereas the exotic means who are not originally found in India, but we have brought them from the other countries. Those are called as exotic breeds, and those exotic breeds includes a Holstein Friesian. Understood? Whereas the breeds of buffaloes are also there. That is the Murrah is there, Surti, Mehsana, and even Zafrabadi. Let us now come on to the drought animals. The drought animals, as I already said, that they are used for carrying heavy loads on their back. And these animals like elephants can be there, camels can be there, horses can be there, bulls can be there, and even the donkeys also can be there. So they are all considered as the drought animals. Now, let us start with the meat and egg yielding animals. These are specifically the goat, okay. Meat can be obtained from goat, it can be obtained from sheep also, and even the hen also. Whereas eggs can be obtained from various birds, and the places where all these birds etc. are kept, either for getting the meat or the eggs, we call that as a poultry farms, okay, and the process is a poultry farming. Now, in this poultry farming also, the care should be taken that if any of the bird is infected or is not well, then its infection could have been spread to the others, and therefore the proper antibiotics should be given in their diet so that the infection could not be spreading out to the other birds. Now, even the even the shelter of poultry also should be taken proper care of. Proper light should be there. Even the bird should be able to freely move around. Not much of the space, but at least the turns and the means the bird will be able to have the movements done. Now let us start with the new concept which is called as the sericulture. Sericulture means it is the rearing of silkworms. Silkworms, every one of you must be or if you ask your mothers that how are the silk saris, they will be telling they are so beautiful. But have you ever wondered that from where this silk is obtained? This silk is obtained from a silkworm, and this commercially, when these silkworms are reared up for getting the silk, that is called as a sericulture. This sericulture is actually the Bombyx morai, which is the most common silk moth to be used. In India, the 4 varieties of silk are obtained: mulberry, tussar, muga, and eri. Okay, these are the 4 varieties of silk which are obtained in India. The next kind of agriculture, which is of great importance in the country, is apiculture. Apiculture basically refers to the honeybees. Every one of you like to have the honey taken, no? Honey is a very good antiseptic. It is very good for even purifying the blood also. Okay, and this honey is even used in a lot of medicines as well. So how come we are getting so much of the honey? This honey is commercially produced from the honeybees by a process which is called as apiculture. This honey, and even not honey, but even the bee wax is of great importance. Bee wax is used in various ointments to make, and therefore they are of medicinal properties. The last topic to start with is the pisciculture. The pisciculture is also a type of an agriculture, but here we are not growing the fishes, we are making the fishes to be reared. In some selected ponds, some of the fish spawns will be put, they will be growing in size, and when they mature, they all will be harvested, they all will be taken out, and then they will be sent out to the markets for sale. And therefore, this all rearing of a fish at a larger scale is considered as a pisciculture. This again, both pisciculture, apiculture and even the poultry farms, they are used for providing a lot of food resources to the human beings all around. Hope you would have understood the chapter and no doubts are left now. So thank you very much for your patience. Thank you very much and all the best.